Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. This is Kelsey here today with Christian Brown. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at Glewee. Christian, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelsey. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Christian, tell me a little bit about yourself.
That's kind of a big question. So 24 years old, from Massachusetts, went to university in Chicago, grew up like in the social space, spent a lot of time like
Yeah.
in New York and LA, like through end of high school, all through college, like working in social, where I like when I was in LA working on different projects, like with influencers, building brands, running like social pages and like just in different entrepreneurial ventures in that space.
Mhm.
I was actually like staying on my friend's couch, and one of his roommates, really good friend of mine at the time, Dylan, like we would go out, work on different projects together. And then as like time went on and I was finishing my degree, Dylan called me. He's like, hey, like I'm gonna head down, if this is around the time that COVID was starting, I'm gonna head down to Florida and start working on this project. You want to come? And I was on like the next flight out the following morning.
Hey.
And now I've been like a back and forth, like Tampa, LA, Boston,
Yeah.
home, like
Oh,
over
how
the past like
cool.
year and a half. So I
Yeah.
kind of bounce around, but like at my core, just 24 years old, love the internet, love Twitter, love social media, and just love hanging out.
Love that. So tell me about Glewee.
So Glewee is an exclusive double-sided marketplace for brands and creators to connect, collaborate, and execute paid brand deals. So
Okay.
on the creator side, creators download, apply to get into our community. Once accepted, our application team looks over and vets based on like a minimum follower count, engagement rate, brand likability, community guidelines.
Mhm.
Once accepted into our iOS and Android application, creators
Mhm.
can come in, authenticate their accounts. So basically allow Meta, being Instagram, Facebook, allow TikTok, YouTube, etc.,
Mhm.
to have those permissions so that we can say, okay,
Yeah.
here's your engagement rate, here's your real-time follower account, and then we can look a little bit under the hood on the statistics there. We pull all that
Yeah.
information in. Creators are allowed to build portfolios, set their own rates, and then they get to exist in the platform.
Mhm.
Brands on the other side have their own web platform that is solely based around data,
Mhm.
connecting with new creators, finding new creators that match like their ICP and their
Mhm.
build and what they're looking for, and then
Mhm.
engaging, whether it's posting campaigns into the feed or utilizing our marketplace or a vast array of other feature sets that we have. But
Yeah.
our main goal is for a brand to post a brand deal, looking for X amount of creators, whether
Yep.
it's 1, 10, 100, and creators that qualify based on location, their following audience,
Mhm.
their age, their preferences, their categorical standing and niche.
Yeah.
Then we can link those up, and then everything from contracts, communications, data tracking, et cetera, all happens in one seamless flow in the
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah. So it's kind of a niche area, it sounds like.
You would think. And when looking at the creator space,
Yeah.
there's like internationally hundreds of millions of people
Mhm.
just on Instagram or Meta's platforms, as well
Okay.
as TikTok daily. And of that, there was over 23,000 TikTok accounts
Mm-hmm.
up to September of this year that had over 1 million followers,
Yeah.
and are excelling beyond that. And that number's scaling exponentially. And so there's millions of creators internationally
Yeah.
that meet that like 25,000 or more follower account build. And people every single day are looking and looking and looking and expanding their social media usage to be a creator and to
Yeah.
go into that creator economy. And
Yeah.
so the industry itself is booming and flourishing
Okay.
as we are kind of like at the same time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So how did you grow or how did Glewee grow during COVID?
So COVID was like, and that era, I don't want to say COVID, but like the era that was centered
Mm-hmm.
around that time period on the timeline was like kind of our incubator space. And so we took that, not being in school, like transitioning into remote school,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of senior year, really weird times. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that opened up like just a lot of time for us to really hit the ground running and building.
Yeah.
And so around that time were like our first iterations of prototypes. It was identifying product market fit for the long term, for the
Mm-hmm.
short term, working with a lot of creators that we knew, whether they were close in our circle or whether we're reaching out to them, doing a ton
Mm-hmm.
and ton of surveying,
Mm-hmm.
and just figuring out exactly what we wanted to build in these platforms, as well as working. So I studied PR advertising at my
Mm-hmm.
university. So I actually leveraged a lot of my communications I had with my
Mm-hmm.
professors that came from the ad world to learn like, okay, at the big agencies, what are they looking for? When
Mm-hmm.
working with platforms, what are they wanting to buy? What are they wanting to see? Who's whose boss wants to see what, and then kind
Mhm.
of building that North Star, and from there working back. And so the timeline of COVID was that incubation space from
Mhm.
building out the North Star, whether that was like the 3-year or 5-year goals we had preset, and then
Mhm.
kind of taking it all the way back to like, okay, where are we now and how are we
Yeah.
going to build a team? How are we going to build the platforms? How are we
Yeah.
going to go market, et cetera? So
Yeah.
it was a lot of like literally building the foundation, like
Yeah.
cementing the bottom of the house, and
Yeah.
then from there trying to build up like the skeleton of the house per se.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And that foundation is one of the most important parts, right? So building on a
Yeah.
strong foundation and then working your way up on that go to market. Talk to me about what that platform looks like. So if someone's new to Glewee, what does that platform look like?
So for brands, it is very much, it's a very welcoming experience. And so
Mhm.
once you enter through the platform, there's different pages you can go to, kind of like pronged approaches.
Mhm.
And so one of them is the data analytics page. Once that's filled in, we have interactive, engageable data sets. So allowing yourself to see all of your accumulated data from
Mhm.
the influencer posts that have been deployed
Mhm.
on like a traditional line graph, also seeing in pie graph form, being able to filter by quarter, by date, by week, by range, and then
Mhm.
also breaking it down by social. And so let's say you're a brand and you're working with creators across Instagram and TikTok. Well, you're
Mhm.
going to have your total sum of your impressions. A lot of brands are at like the 1 to 5 million mark now.
Yeah.
And so you can see that grow from the time you started all the way to the day that we're at right now, updating in
Okay.
real time. And then you can break it down per social type, which would then like highlight the line. And then
Yeah.
on there, you'll get to see in the timeline across the x-axis where the campaigns that you've published, where the post went live. So like it's nice to see,
Okay.
okay, we were like kind of gradual, and then boom, a campaign went live, hockey stick. And we get to
Yeah.
see, the millions of impressions that come in off that. Our
Yeah.
marketplace is like an elegant experience, as like it's something that we're so prided in. The
Mhm.
creators themselves, they create their portfolios and they go into the marketplace. Brands can go in, they can filter everything from like price range to location to social platform to niche to category, all the
Mhm.
way through to like the audience of the creators, and say like, hey, I have this specific ICP, so I need a creator that needs to perfectly match that, and I need to work with them. And then they can see the preset rates by the creator, reach out to them, engage with them on a one-to-one experience right
Yeah.
through that marketplace.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That makes it much more personalized, I can imagine.
Yeah. And so like we spent a lot of time over the duration of this year working on that personalization feature.
Mm.
And that goes through kind of looking at our chat function. It's not just exactly like a one-to-one little chat, right? We built out
Mhm.
this beautiful window where on the left you can see all your campaigns, click a campaign, it'll filter all the creators in the campaign. And then
Okay.
in those one-to-one chats where you can see in the middle, you can chat with creators, you can send media files,
Mhm.
everything from contracting, the whole experience can happen in the chat. And then
Mhm.
on the right-hand side, you can even see, okay, this creator I'm speaking to, where are they from? What are their socials? What's
Yeah.
their total follower count? What campaign am I working on them with? If there's a contract through our app, we put it there. You get
Yeah.
to see the exact impression count they've got for you. So we're building different brand advocates through that communication funnel, through the connection piece of the platform.
Yeah, totally. So you talked about brands and then creators. Talk to me more about that ICP.
So on both sides, it's vastly different. And
Mhm.
so on the creator side, it's very primarily location based. So we're just accepting creators in the US right now,
Okay.
and creators that are suitable for work, creators that want to be a creator full time,
Mhm.
and people that are excelling on social media. And so that looks a lot different than the brand one, and the creator one, and the whole marketing for that is a whole different entity. But
Mhm.
on the creator side, it's primarily just saying, okay, we need creators that want to get more brand deals, that want to monetize their following, that want to be in a community, that want to be a part of something exclusive, that once in has an inclusive feel to it of that group.
Mhm. Mhm.
And creators are downloading, I'd say we're at about 1,500 creators downloading a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just surpassed our 25,000 download mark, application mark, which is really cool. And
Yeah,
that's growing
congratulations.
exponentially.
Yeah.
On the brand side of things, that's a little more ICP focused.
Okay.
And so we look at like what we're doing as a platform on like an offering side. So with
Mhm.
all these different feature functionality sets, we've broken it down into just our starters package, our essentials package, our growth package, et cetera, different
Mhm.
agency packages we offer. And based on those, when buying those packages, that offers a level of functionality that's tailored for each experience. And so with
Okay.
that, we have different ICPs per.
Yeah.
And so we have like our starter, our growth, our essentials, and our agency ICPs, and
Mhm.
these break all the way down. And
Okay.
so what we do is we try to like, and I think this is a great exercise for anyone building out ICPs, but we try to meet these people. So we create these figures as a team, and then we create them as if we want to be friends with them. And then we know everything about them down to like exactly what they do, what coffee they drink, how they take their coffee, like what they do on social. If they're on Instagram, okay, what are they posting, right? And we'll go through that. But we break it down to the point that like we know these people, we give them names. And then anytime we're working with different clients that fit different buckets, we know kind of how to talk to them and how to gauge those conversations going into it, because we can qualify them in our ICP buckets. And so,
oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And so like looking at it, like we can take it top down, like from the most umbrella function of it, which is like your entry level concept of an ICP. So it's age, it's location, it's gender, it's pronouns, it's everything from their marital status. Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Okay, where are they from versus where do they work now? Okay, when did they move to that city? Are they in a city? Are they working remote? Do they like working remote? Like it's all of that kind of like getting to know them level. And then from there, we break it down like, okay, who are they on social media? Because you can meet somebody, right? And like, this is definitely something that pertains to our industry. You meet somebody in real life, and then you can see their social medias, and they might really mesh that perfectly, or it might be polar, and they might be like, whoa, oh my gosh, you are totally different in a good way, in a bad way, in a medium way than you are online. So like now let's break down their social media. So like if they're younger, chances are their primary use of social is going to be Instagram, TikTok. Whereas if they're a little in the older millennial sector, chances are they're going to spend more time on Facebook, and they're not going to have Snapchat. And so breaking that down, okay, so for our younger folks on Instagram, what do they post? Who do they follow? Who do they not follow? If they don't follow someone, is it a conscious not follow, or is it like they never got around to following them? Like, and it's kind of the big ones. Like, do you follow Elon Musk? If no, then why? Okay, obviously you're probably not going to follow someone that's problematic. Okay, and why? And who do you follow as leaders, as thought leaders, as people in whatever space you're in? What brands do you like? What brands do you engage with? How many people do you follow? And of that, how many are your real friends? Like a lot of these different factors go into building that persona. For some of our older millennial folks in our ICPs, it's like, okay, well, when you go to the bar on the weekend or like go for breakfast, are you posting the brunch? Are you not posting the brunch? Are you tagging the location? If so, like, are you tagging your friends? Is it a boomerang? Is it an Instagram post? On LinkedIn, how are you talking? Is it long form? Is it short form? Are you more like pompous on LinkedIn? Are you more like, oh, I want to share everything on LinkedIn? So we really break down how they use social so that we can really feel like we follow them. Not only do we know them, but we now feel like we follow them. And then it breaks down to like, all right, now let's go to a day in the life of them at work. So it's like, let's go to work with them, hypothetically, right? Let's go to work with them and let's figure out their values and their goals. So like we break down what is person A's goal 1 at work, goal 2, goal 3. And then how does that pertain to like them, whether they want a promotion or whether they're like a solopreneur and they want to scale their business up, or whether they are an entry level position and they really want to just climb the ranks. What are those goals at their organization? And then what are their values, their like personal values that they bring to work? Like maybe they value teamwork, maybe they value collaboration, maybe they value like having a good work environment and culture. So like understanding those when they're at work allows you to then know how those are going to go in to build their goals, which will then kind of reflect who they are, right? As you're breaking it down. And then it's like, all right, now let's go hang out with them after work. So now it's like, okay, when you're not at work, whether it's like your morning coffee or it's your afternoon dinner, or like your like couple hours between dinner and going to bed, whatever, what does this person do to consume content and information? We look at like, do they read books? Yes or no? If it's a yes, what type of books do they read? Do they still get magazines? If they get magazines and like physical magazines, well, what is holding them to that subscription? Like what's the value add that still makes them get subscriptions in the mail compared to reading online? What newspapers do they read? And if so, is it a physical newspaper? What do they like about that? Or do they subscribe to something online? If they subscribe to something online, you have to break it down. Like, why do they subscribe to this news and not this news? Because you need to know like everything about them. And then furthermore, like that'll all allow us to see like how they consume content. And then from there, you need to know like of all that content they consume, what makes them click? Like what brings that to the next level? So you look at inspiration and it's like, are they getting their inspiration from like blogs and mood boards and like Instagram pages.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like what are those curated like? Or are they
Yeah.
getting their inspiration from like their favorite nonfiction writer
Yeah.
or their favorite op-ed journalist that's writing in the New York Times, right? So
Yeah.
it's like understanding what makes them click will allow you as a marketer, like if you could skip all of this and inject your content or your product or service into places that make these people click. And like now you're hitting that like euphoric moment where someone's like, oh, I have a free moment. I'm going to dive into this. It's something I love. And then if they're like opened up to a product or service during that moment, well, now you're hitting like an emotion that's way beyond, oh, I'm at work, I'm getting an email.
Yeah.
So it's like knowing all that. And then it's like at the end of the day, you know how everyone's like, I don't know, I definitely do this, right? I lay in bed and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do tomorrow. There's so much to do next week. There's like, I know I'm going to wake up at like 8:30 to a million Slack messages. There's like that moment of like tomorrow work or like the future of work. So it's like getting into their mind at that time. And that can be at the end of the workday, in the beginning of the workday, whenever, but knowing what challenges they face at work. A lot of times for any B2B company, like trying to sell business to business products or services, that's really important. And that's a game we play for the brands is that like, okay, how are we going to communicate through marketing, through messaging, through our different channels, like omni-channel, multi-channel, et cetera, to this person that our product or service, in the case, our technology platform, is actually going to solve the pain points they have at work. Just going back to their work goals, well, if they want to get a promotion, they need to excel and they need to perform better. If they want to scale their company, well, they need to do X, Y, Z in the marketing sector to generate revenue to do so.
Yeah.
So it's like identifying their challenges at work and like those roadblocks that are not allowing them to scale or get to that like next level of goal, and then inserting yourself as a solution. Now you're finding like you're definitely sliding in your platform or service into a time of need.
Right.
And so it's like knowing those and then being able to like identify them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that's quintessential to all of this. But you can't do that if you don't know the person and you don't know what they post and you don't know how they act and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And then if you're selling software like us, for example, objections for purchase, right? Understanding what might hold them back, whether they're not the person that has the budgetary item sheet, or they don't have the say to do this, or it's not time right now, or it's too much money, knowing all the objections that are going to come beforehand. So when you go for the sale, you're ready for all of them. And then as a good salesperson, you could even combat that with an array of different objectifying statements that will kind of bounce that back.
Yeah, absolutely. Super interesting. And as the chief marketing officer, besides having these super dialed in ICPs, talk to me a little bit more about what the marketing strategy looks like.
So for us it's kind of like two-sided again. So there's the creator concept of it, and then there's the brand concept of it. On the creator side, we are just continuing to grow. Like we kind of look at it like, okay, we're a little fire right now, and it's just going to grow exponentially across the country. And so that is its own sector. That's pretty much done on social media. So a lot of that is done through the communication channels that social offer, creating content. A really fun strategy we use is that we actually invest in our own creators. So we use our platform to connect with creators so they can post Glewee created content about our platform on social for other creators in their circle, and that does extraordinarily well. And so we run a lot of social plays, email marketing plays, etc. And it's all about finding the ICP and then finding who they follow and then targeting who they follow so that the person that they follow that creates the content, the trickle effect occurs. On the brand side, it's a lot different. It's a lot more of a mature approach, which has been a very interesting and very, very fun obstacle course for us as like a very young Gen Z marketing team. Is like, okay, how do we actually put ourselves in that older mind, older marketing persona and create content for them? And a lot of what we've been doing is the educational piece. And so what's really worked for us is coming out and being like, hey, we grew up in this space. We know this space so well. We've done extensive research on this space. We've connected with thousands and thousands and thousands of creators. We have all of this content built up and we just eat, breathe, and sleep it because like it's so authentic and organic for us. And so we took a lot of that like core passion and fire that we like have lit in this industry, and we've turned that into whether it's like 30-page ebooks or webinars or different series that we're expecting to release in the coming months that are showing like, here's what's going on in social right now for a marketer, for someone that's older, for someone that's not 22, 23, 24, that's like in the space all day long. And so it's like taking what's going on a larger scale and then kind of putting a magnifying glass on it and summarizing it and giving that content in bite size to other marketers in this space. Like it just allows us to be thought leaders. It allows us to prove that Glewee as a platform is run by people that are very, very much like indulged in what we're doing and very much like enthusiastic about it and scholastic about it, right? Everything we're doing, it's trying to put that emphasis on thought leadership as an organization. So when brands are coming to us, they have that trust, they have that durability, they know what we want to portray and how they can do that with our platform.
Yeah, everything is very meticulous and intentionally done, it sounds like, throughout your marketing strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, like here and there. We have a lot, we definitely have a lot of fun. And like going back to being a young team, we're definitely going through the motions. Like there's a lot of things, so many things actually, I can say, like as a leader of the team and as an individual myself, that 12 months ago, we didn't know, we didn't understand. We could conceptualize, but we couldn't execute on. And so what we did is we just broke it down as a team, right? Like really as a friend group, we were like, well, we need to learn this to be the best marketers. We need to actually learn exactly what our favorite companies are doing. And so we studied things like HubSpot, Figma, some other B2Bs that like we really, really look up to. And we said, okay, what are they doing? What's their messaging? How is this working? What are their drip sequences like? What are their flows? So like now, if you were to look at all of our workflows and our automations, like it looks like a spider web. It is one of the most elegant things I've ever seen. Our team is so fantastic with that. But if you take it back a year ago and it was just like myself and a few others in marketing, it was like, okay, well, we need to write email drip sequences. We need to send them out 3 times a week, and we need to send them out to 100,000 people. So it's just like, it's matured very well. And that came with like throwing darts at the wall and seeing what would stick and return.
So if someone wanted to access Glewee, where would they go?
So that's a great question. www.glewee.com is a great source of information to learn all about our platform, all about our offerings, to see our pricing models, etc. And then from there, that will take you into app.glewee.io, which is our technology site. And so on both of those domains, an individual is eligible to learn about our platform, to engage with the platform, and to sign up as a brand on the platform. And for creators, Glewee on App Store, so whether that's the Google Play Store or Apple iOS, just download Glewee and apply. It's about a 60-second application process, and that's that.
And there you are. Fantastic. So Christian, if you wanted to leave our listeners with one piece, one little nugget about Glewee, about the space, what would that be?
That's a great question. So I would say one specific bit of information is that it's not necessary when working with influencers and influencer marketing for brands. It's very important to look at your product and your service and your ICP, your intended consumer. And then what you can do, going back to what we spoke about earlier, is run through these methods and know how to build that ICP list. And then what you need to do is find creators that meet that ICP. And so when working with influencers, it should be very known that people follow people like them. People follow individuals that they look up to. Why do they look up to them? Because that person offers something to the following individual that they don't have. So finding creators that fit your ICP, that have a high following and a high concentration of followers that match that have an intended audience similar to your ICP, that is going to be the best case scenario. And that is going to return the best results compared to going for your Kim Kardashians, your Bella Hadids, etc. Like finding a true creator that really, really wants to work with your brand or multiple of them and is enthusiastic about that, and finding them through a platform that is going to track the data, understand the metrics, allow you to send contracts, have payable solutions, chat communication functions, all that end-to-end suite is going to be infinitely better than going out and shooting out cold emails to your favorite influencer that someone spoke about one time.
Right. Well, Christian, this has been a fantastic conversation, super insightful, and I think very beneficial to our listeners. Again, Christian Brown, he's the Chief Marketing Officer at Glewee. Christian, thanks for being on the show.
Kelsey, thank you again for having me, and I look forward to chatting in the future.